I'm going to discuss the difference between a leader and a manager. In business, there are people who will know how to manage things and there are people who really just know how to lead. And there's a big difference between the two. Your manager is a person who, they do things day by day. They tend to react and they tend to focus on the short term. Whereas your leader, they're a person who has a vision. They have a plan for the long term, and they set goals for a long term. Um, for the long term, they are long haul. They're gonna commit to something. Your manager, they just deal with stuff as it comes. They react to situations, and they really aren't very good at problem solving. I mean, a lot of people they think about the title of manager, but there are very few people who step up and become leaders. Your leaders are the kind of people who can inspire others, motivate others, support others, and really create a team environment. Whereas your manager is the kind of guy who just, he goes through the motions. He's just dealing with stuff day by day, and he's just trying to just deal with whatever's happening on the job. Now, your leader is going to be like, he's going to inspire the staff there. He's going to try to rally people, or she, because leaders are both, because there are men and women who are good leaders. And leaders going to try to, build up the morale of the team, get everybody on the same page when it comes to work and get them to understand, everybody's got to understand their roles on a job. And more importantly, because the leader has the vision, what they're going to do is they're going to make sure that everybody understands their role so that they understand their particular part and how their component, affects the overall organization and the overall mission and the overall big picture. This is why it's important to have leaders in management positions because they have vision and because they have the ability to see long term and then to get everybody else to see long term. They can get people motivated to come to work and set these goals and try to complete these goals. Whereas your manager, they're just reacting, they're emotional, and nobody really sees their part and how it relates to the big picture. They see just their part, and they're all just working as individuals. They're not working as a team. When you have your leader, they have this vision, and they can help people see that vision and see their part in that vision, in that big picture, and see how their work contributes to the overall larger picture. What I'm seeing a lot of today in American business is a lot of managing, but I'm not seeing a lot of leading. And this is in every aspect of American business. You have people, they're just doing things day by day. There's no long term plan, there's no long term vision, and nobody really has a sense of direction of where they want to go or what type of goals they want to pursue. Some people say that's the way the business world has changed, but I really look at it as, some people today's managers, they come out of school, they know how to manage, but we're not getting leaders coming out of your MBA schools, your business schools, and they just don't know how to lead. And leadership is not something you can really teach. It's something intrinsic within the individual, and that's going to come out by their actions and the goals that they set. The goal of a leader is the leader has to be able to say, look, this is the direction I want to go in. These are the goals I want to set. And and when I do this, I have to be able to say to people, this is your role and how it relates to this larger picture and this larger goal. I'm not seeing a lot of that with today's management today because I look at a lot of different companies, I read about a lot of different companies, and I'm seeing a lot of short term, short stuff, but I'm not seeing a lot of people working towards a larger, longer vision towards building anything, over a 3, 5, maybe 10 year period. And that's not really good for a business because you have to have a vision for what you want to do long term. I mean, when I started SJS Direct, way back when my first book 2009, I had a vision really of publishing positive books about the African American experience, and I had a vision long term of eventually expanding into larger areas. Originally, I started with fiction, but then I branched out into nonfiction, and eventually, I want to branch out into filmmaking in other areas, and expand and try to find ways to use my screenwriting skills. And but the whole thing is, I have a long-term vision, and other things I would like to do, is hire professional artists again, get that type of money together, um, and hire them on a regular basis to do covers and stuff, and even interiors. And that all requires people being on the same page and being part of that big picture. When I look at things as a business person, I'm always thinking long term. I'm always thinking, 5, 10, 15 years down the road, and where do I want to take things? And as I look at it, I really want to build up towards other forms of media outside of books. I've expanded into ebooks over the last 3 to 5 years, and I'm looking, and what I'm trying to do now is expand into other forms of social media. That's why I'm doing a lot more videos, talking about business, talking about different issues in the black community, and just trying to connect with people, and getting them to see what my mission is as a publisher, and my mission is as a writer. But that all goes into management because this was an area that I studied in college. I have a degree in business administration, and I learned the difference between management and leadership, the rough way, working in different businesses, and seeing people, make all of these mistakes over, the last 20 years. And I've watched, people, because your manager just, they just manage situations, they just deal with stuff, and some people just throw their hands up. And I've seen that also like on reality shows like your Kitchen Nightmares with Gordon Ramsay. And Hotel Hell, we see that a lot. I saw that a lot, because they didn't have a vision for what they wanted to do. They just thought, oh, I just buy a business and it just runs. They don't understand that you have to have a plan of what you want to do with a business and a vision for what you want to do with the business. And that requires you as a leader to set a direction and set goals for where you want to take things. And I'm not, again, when I look at management today in a lot of companies, not just, small businesses, but I also look at large corporations, I don't see, that type of long term planning and that type of long term vision for where they want to go. And nobody's trying to, put the employees on the same, because what really motivates employees I find, is knowing that you have a direction you're going in. You have, a boss who sets goals for what they want to do in a day or what they want to do in a week. And they're realistic goals. They're not unrealistic goals. They're goals that, are doable, and they communicate with people every day, ask them what you're doing at work, what type of progress are we on things. This is one of the things I do in my blog, www.seansjames.blogspot.com. I often put down, quarterly progress report, or just to let the readers know what I'm doing and where certain books are and what type of projects am I doing. And when you're leading, you have to do that. You have to let people know where they're going, what direction you're going in, and then all the parts. The other part of leadership is providing that support to your coworkers, so that they feel like they're a part of a team, so they know that they're a part of a team, and that you're just not telling them to do things. This is a big difference between a manager and a leader. A manager tells people what to do. A leader shows people what to do and then supports them as they're trying to do it. It helps them, understand that I was where you were, and I'm trying to build this team, and I want you to understand that every role in the team is important. Even and I will step in if in case things start getting hectic and crazy, or I'll give you that counseling, and talk to you about experiences that you've had in the workplace, so that you understand that you're not alone. And this is a big part of leadership, is giving your people the that type of support, and or in a work environment. And I don't really see that. I see a lot of people are really indifferent to each other in jobs I've had. They really don't connect with each other, or what. and or they just they're just there. There's no, because the leadership is where you get the passion from, where people get the energy from, where they feel inspired, where they feel like they're a part of something and they feel like they want to contribute to something because that's what a leader does. They bring out they bring out the best in people. They make people see the very best in themselves and make them feel like they're a part of something so they can contribute to the business and help it in meeting its goals. But what I'm seeing in a lot of jobs that I've had in the past, I've seen I've seen leaders just abdicate. Like with the library I worked at, about four civil service job about 6 years ago, guy just abdicated as a leader, and the place was falling apart around him. Books were they had no barcodes in them, so people could just take them and walk out, and people were stealing out of the copier. I mean, it was really dysfunctional in there, and the whole thing was leader just abdicated, walked away, and just gave up. And I've also seen this on Kitchen Nightmares, and I also saw it on Gordon Ramsay's Hotel Show. The people just abdicating, leaders just giving up because they feel overwhelmed, they feel frustrated, and the big problem and the whole reason why when the leader gives up, the whole thing is that the other employees feel like they have given up. Some employees will try to stay in there and fight, but what happens is they get frustrated, and what I find is that a lot of employees, what they do is they get frustrated because and demoralized because the leadership is just not there, and a lot of people think that, having a college degree and all this stuff makes you a manager, but it doesn't make you a manager. It makes you a manager on paper, but it does not make you a leader. And there's a big difference in a work environment when you have a manager and a leader. Leader is just going to bring out the best in people. There's going to be a lot of positive energy flowing in a work environment. Yeah, there's going to be rough days in that work environment sometimes, but what's going to happen is that leader's going to help people persevere and keep pushing until they can get through the rough spot and then keep moving forward. Whereas your manager is going to become indifferent, apathetic, and they're just going to say, just that's just the way things are, and they're just going to, because when you hear people say stuff like that, it's basically saying that they've given up. And this is what happens when you have a lot of managers. They become indifferent, they become apathetic, they just start giving you by the book responses. There's no energy, and you really can't deal with a person in that type of environment. That type of environment really just sucks the life out of you because nobody wants to do anything. And what I find with a lot of these managed situations is that nobody wants to really take any responsibility for anything. Whereas when a leadership situation, when there's a leader in charge, he's taking responsibility, so everybody else feels that they are responsible too, and they feel connected to the work that's being done and the goals that are met. It's a whole different environment. There's a whole different energy about that environment. Everybody feels connected. Everybody understands their role, and everybody understands their part as it relates to the larger picture of the organization. And when you have there's just this is what I've seen in a lot of American business. The big crisis is really in the management situation. We really have a big problem with management in that a lot of people they don't they've learned a dysfunctional way of how to manage things, because I look at the life skills of people. They don't understand how to lead because they've never seen real leadership over the last, I say, 20 25 years. I mean, we've not really seen some strong leadership. I mean, it goes from the president down to the last, to the CEO, to the owner of the small business. There's a real management crisis really in America now, and this is just me and my observation of things. I look at things where there's no real management of anything. Just people are just going through the motions. They're apathetic. They really don't see how their work relates to how America overall. They don't see that these type of things. When it comes to, I mean, I look at management as people have to learn how to become leaders, because you're the only one. Because when you're a leader, you put yourself first, you put your goals first, you put your team um, up there, and you have them first, so that everybody understands that there's a goal that has to be met. We're all in this together, and the only way we're going to meet this goal is by working together. And this is what I'm not seeing in a lot of management situations when people are just managing. There's no teamwork. Nobody's communicating. Everybody's just work is just going through the motions. They're phoning it in, and that's all due to your manager who just they're good on paper, but they're not good with people, and they're not good with working through conflict. That's another problem I find with a lot of managers these days. A lot of them are afraid of conflict. They don't understand that when you're a manager, your whole business is conflict, and your job as a manager is solving problems. That is the whole goal of management. Is your job is to solve problems. As a leader, your job is to solve all of these is to solve problems as they come, because that's what accomplishing a goal requires. You have to overcome obstacles, and you have to find ways to solve problems to get towards this goal. A lot of these guys just think it's just smooth sailing, and they don't understand that you know within a business is conflict every day, and it's how you deal with conflict that shows the difference between a strong leader and a weak leader. And in American business, what I'm seeing is a lot of weak leaders. I'm seeing a lot of guys who don't know how to problem solve. Um, a lot of people who don't know, you know, organization. That's another big component, and they just don't know how. These are all four fundamentals of management I learned back in college. Planning, organizing, leading, and controlling. Those are the four functions of management. But I'm not seeing that much these days. I'm not seeing, I see a lot of poor planning, because a lot of people they plan short. I see, no organization, just stuff just all over the place. No leadership in that you're not motivating the people don't motivate their employees. They don't support their employees. They don't encourage their employees. And no control in the fact that, nobody's taking charge or taking responsibility for the work that's being done. I mean, this is what I'm seeing, in American business these days. I'm not seeing that those four functions. A lot of people, yeah, they've got master's degrees, um, bachelor's degrees, but they don't really know how to apply these four functions in an effective way to to get the goals of the goals that are set accomplished, or even to effectively get people motivated to do the best work possible. It's like they don't understand by the book approaches to management, but they don't understand, how to apply it in a real life situation. Um, and and that's the big difference between a manager and a leader. I mean, the leader knows how to get stuff done. They know how to get people motivated. They get them to understand, their role in a larger picture and how it relates to it, and you know how their work is how their work has a value. They make them understand that their work has value, and that they do make a valuable contribution to the business in a significant way. Whereas your manager is just is day by day getting through a day, going through the motions. There's no motivation for anyone except maybe a paycheck. Oh, and they've just clocked out, and I've seen that a lot in businesses. You know, just not just businesses all over. Just people have just clocked out. They've given up. They've lost their passion. They've lost their spark. And the reason why they've lost their spark is because in a lot of cases, I'm thinking they have a lot of bad managers in place. They have bad policies in place. They have bad senior managers in place, bad executives in place. And these people have pretty much clocked out. They've given up, and they're just coasting. They're just either comfortable, too comfortable, because what I find when you go to workplace, this is why I say you can't go to work to be happy. They've become comfortable, and they've given up on the challenge of trying to do new things, or they've just given up because they feel frustrated and overwhelmed by the work environment and all the dysfunction that surrounds it, because you know people higher up have given up. And this is what I've seen. This is what I've seen, and a lot of these situations, when it comes to management, can be averted. They can they can be averted in some ways, and they can also be rectified or worked on to be improved, and that's not being done. Um, but because people have checked out, they've given up, and you know, in my publishing, I try not to check out. I'm always listening to the readers. I'm always listening to the viewers here, and I understand that that's part of business. You have to listen to your customer. You have to listen to, more importantly, you have to listen to your employees when they're telling you things, when they're giving you feedback. A lot of things that I'm finding also with the difference between a manager and a leader is that your leader is going to listen to the employees when they have a problem that's work related, and they're going to try to help them with that problem. Whereas your manager is just going to just clock out, say that's just how things are, and just give up. Um, and when you're a leader, you can't do that. You know that in order for people to feel motivated to come to work, you have to be able to listen to them. If they're giving them a concern, you have to listen to that concern because it shows that you're listening, that you care, that you're connected to them, they're connected to you, and that the issues that about work matter to both of you. And that's different. That's what a leader really does. They want to be connected to their people so that they can be the best they can be. And because when you help them, they help you. You understand that it's a team environment, and that everybody's work contributes to the bigger picture. And when you have a manager with managers these days, you don't have that type of synergy or that type of connection and energy to get each other. It's just everybody's just doing their part as individuals, but nobody's seeing how everybody's work relates to the group. And I have family members and they're telling me these stories about their work experiences and stuff, and what they're saying and the things that they're saying to me are showing me that a lot of people do not understand management. They do not understand leadership, and they go to school for management, but they don't really understand what the concepts are and how it relates to leadership, and how having the right leader can really get people to you can have a demoralized work environment. You bring the right leader in, and he's got a leadership mindset. Those same people who were apathetic and unmotivated, all of a sudden, are performing exceptionally well. Whereas when you had the manager there, nothing was getting done. When you have the leader there, everything is getting done, and it's getting done well because they're bringing the right type of energy, and they're bringing the right type of passion, and they're also just getting people to be supported. Sometimes all you have to do is sometimes people just want to be heard, and other people times some people times people have good ideas, and sometimes people want to feel that positive energy. They want to feel like they're a part of something, because everybody wants to feel like they're a part of something, and that's part of what a leader does. He makes them feel like they're a part of something, that they have a contribution, and they have a direction that they want to take people in. And I don't see that these days, in today's business world. I don't see a lot of guys, you know, with a direction of where they want to go, or setting goals for what they want to do. Everything today is so short term that nobody is focusing on that large long term vision. And this is why countries messed up, because I look at Barack Obama, for example. He is not a good. He's a short term thinker. He's not a long term planner. He has not had a clear vision for the country, and that's why everything is just these last 8 years are just coming by on his term, because he really doesn't have a long term plan. He didn't have a vision for what he wanted to do as president. And I look at also a lot of other businesses, like your DC Comics, same thing. No vision, no real direction, um, and they're just publishing comics, and it's you know just publishing stuff just for the sake of publishing it without a real set goal for what you want to do. And the same thing with a lot of other companies I've read about. They just no direction, no focus. It's just going through the motions, and that's not the way a leader does things. And the same thing even with this, other political situations, like your Michael Brown and your Eric Garner. Again, no leadership there. Just people are marching and protesting, but there's no goal set. There's no direction for where people want to go and what they want to do. and nobody's motivated, you know, towards being the best they can be and contributing the very best of themselves to these movements. What it is that, you know, you're just random individuals just doing things, and that's not going to get anybody anywhere. And I look at the whole, you know, just recently with this Michael Brown thing again. Um, the reason why nothing's gotten done, just a quagmire. This is what happens when you have no leadership, and this is the big problem. I really think, you know, with America is that there is no leadership. Just people just coasting and going through the motions. And, you know, a lot of people, they think that being a manager is just, you know, you wear a suit and a tie and you go to work and you sit in an office. As a manager, this is how I see things. As a business owner and a publisher, you know, I don't have time to sit in an office. I mean, my bedroom is my office right now, but if I had an office, I'm gonna say this: I'm gonna be out on the floor with my people, you know, just talking to them, communicating with them every day, finding out what they need, finding out what they want. You know, this is how a manager functions every day. Even if he's a CEO, he's got to be talking to his people and finding out what's going on the on because this is how you build to the larger picture, and how you maintain see if the larger picture is coming together. Is that you have to keep communicating with people and finding out what they're doing, finding out, you know, how they are and how and where they are in the long term larger picture of things, and setting and meeting the goals of that were set. Um, and that's something I'm not seeing these days. That's just something I'm not seeing, because I look at a lot of companies and it's just, you know, it's just chaos. Just people, like I said, the job market nowadays, you know, the average person only lasts about 2 years, and that's not enough time for you to even learn anything. And this is why and because people are so busy focusing on costs, they're not thinking about, you know, craft and skill and quality. And this is all something leaders focus on. They focus on craft, they focus on skill, you know, bringing the best people together so they can produce the best quality products, and, you know, they can achieve a high standard when they when they try to meet these goals. And you're not seeing that anymore. You're just seeing a lot of short-sighted stuff, and we really, in America, we really have to, you know, get our management right, because our management situation here in the United States is just a mess. And that's not how business is done. You're not going to do business effectively if everybody's just so short-sighted and focused on short-term stuff and not thinking about, you know, the long-term ramifications and long-term consequences of, you know, actions, and taking responsibility for those actions. Um, that's all I have to say for this video. You can comment, rate, and subscribe.